like it.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I like it. I'm a fan.
Okay, so welcome to episode 4 of SportsFlossGloss.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
It is. It's moving along.
4 weeks in. It is, and it's been a lot of fun so far. So I'm ready to just keep it moving, keep us going. It's been so much fun. It's such a good, I guess, debrief, if you will, or to take away from just the workday and the other things, actual responsibilities that I have. So to be able to just sit here for about an hour and talk about sports and things that are going on that we would be talking about anyway is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so I'm really enjoying myself.
Right. So the gist is, since we already do this anyway, why not just let the world see?
Yeah, might as well let some people on and people look in at what we're going to be talking about anyway. And it means that I have to text you less, which is nice, because sometimes doing the furious thumbs gets a little tiring. So yes. And speaking of, we can announce some news at the end, right, Kim? About let's do that. We'll keep them hanging. We'll go through the show, talk about everything. Cliffhanger for now, and then at the end we'll make our big announcement and let you know what's coming over the horizon, stuff that we're really pumped about and looking forward to. So, all right, so let's get it started. We're gonna start off today talking about the NFL and what's going on in those parts of the sports world. So absolutely.
Today is Monday. So right now, the Ravens and the Rams are playing. And as of now, the Ravens are 14-0 on the Rams. And that was after Jalen Ramsey said, what was he saying about the Rams? About the Ravens?
He was making some sort of comparison between Lamar Jackson, who is tearing it up, and the Little Giants. Now, I will, in full disclosure, I did not hear the clip, but for any of you who have seen the Little Giants, just a reference to that team is not a compliment. Now, at the end of the movie, they ultimately win, but as Navette and I have discussed, it was based on a lot of trickery because from a just base skill set, size, power, speed perspective, the team that was their rival was just better. So they had to get creative, and they won the game more so with their minds. Yeah. Lots of trick plays, lots of audibles and things like that. Using Pepto-Bismol to gross not Pepto-Bismol, Alka-Seltzer type tabs to gross the other team out. I mean, all sorts of distractions and absurd things they were doing to do what they need to do to win. So they were nothing if not creative. But yeah, there we go. Fumbarooski. So all that to say that it appeared that Jalen Ramsey was talking some smack. I'll have to go back and listen to it to see if that's true. But I will say, just in general, the Rams can't talk smack to anybody. They just do not have room to do that. No. I think we talked about this a bit. I feel like the first episode, there was a lot of hype, if you will, and kind of anticipation that they were going to hit the ground running where they left off, even though they did not win the Super Bowl, but just the talent and the ability and what everyone saw as the upswing on that team, and that just has not been the case. And I mean, even the last few games. So I have Cooper Kupp on my fantasy team, and he had been doing very well, but the last 3 weeks, he's been a bit of a liability for me the last 3 weeks, to the point that I've actually considered taking him out because he and Jared Goff just haven't been linking up. And sometimes it's because the ball isn't even coming his way. It's not necessarily a drop passes thing. Mm-hmm. So Jalen Ramsey, I don't think the Ravens are who you want to come for. They are playing amazing on both sides of the ball right now. So I think, how about you go out there, let your football plan do the talking for you, instead of comparing Lamar Jackson to the Little Giants.
To the Icebox.
That is to the Icebox. Spike don't play with girls. He's my favorite character in that movie.
Who's Spike?
Spike, yes, because he's ridiculous. Not like as in he's the best character. He's just my favorite because he makes me laugh, and he's ridiculous. And if my memory serves me correct, he has like a silver tooth in the front, and he's like 12 years old. Do you remember that?
I don't.
He had a silver tooth. I'm pretty. I'm pretty sure he had
I don't remember. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he had a silver tooth, like a cap for cavities, I'm assuming, and it was in the front, and he's a 12-year-old. So I associate silver and gold teeth when they're not back on the molars with older men. So the fact that he had people, like Harry from Home Alone.
Jerome.
Or Jerome from Martin.
Shut your mouth.
Better watch your mouth. Yeah.
I've been thinking about. I guess I'm on a Martin trip now.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what Spike's my favorite. We digress. This happens a lot, but in any event, that's what I feel about Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
So we will continue to watch out for that game, see what's going on. All right. Yep. So also let's bring you around to last night. How about the 49ers just decimated Green Bay? It was a bloodbath. Like there was no letting up. Like I felt like maybe after halftime, Aaron Rodgers would do some Aaron Rodgers things, make it a little bit interesting. They did at one point. They scored midway through third quarter, and they converted on their 2-point conversion. But then, but then the Niners turned around and smacked them in the mouth again, and kept smacking them in the mouth until they were swimming in their end zone, like literally swimming on the grass in their end zone. So I was very surprised at the way that the defense came out, especially considering after they played the Cardinals again and were looking kind of suspect, that they were just ready. There was nothing Green Bay can do. And I think it was also they do have a new head coach who's his first year. So I can see like they kind of exploited him a little bit. They kind of got him on the cuff. But their defense was spectacular last night. And then Jimmy had a perfect passer rating. So Jimmy, who I like to call Superman, because doesn't he look like Superman to you? Like his face is like he has a Superman face. It's a really good face.
Yeah. He's a nice face. I'll co-sign on that, Jimmy G. And really everything that you just said. I mean, who would have thought that we would be opening up any of these shows with how about the 49ers and it be in a positive light? Now, I know we're deep into the NFL season, and you and I earlier on the show had talked about how we were still a little apprehensive because it's the 49ers and just not used to them playing so well, but
recently
having to tip my so having to tip my hat and give credit where credit's due. And to your point, whether Aaron Rodgers was going to come out and do something, and it really wasn't that he was playing that badly. The defense was just on him. Yeah. I mean, he didn't even have time to play badly. He didn't have time to make poor decisions.
But the thing is that when he did have time, and he gets some coverage from his offensive line, that they had every receiver covered. Like he had nowhere to go.
Yep.
And so he had no options, and they were just ready for any and everything that Green Bay could possibly have available. Like at one point, neither team had converted had converted on third down at one point until. So they just says that was so. One thing they says is that the Niners were playing so well that they were just going on a clip on first and second downs, and then that the Green Bay was playing so badly that they couldn't convert a third down.
But they couldn't convert. Absolutely. So yes, they had the perfect game plan, and you can't ask for anything better than that. You can't ask for, okay, do your best to get through this line and get to the quarterback and put him under pressure, or get him down behind the line of scrimmage, or in the alternative, if the line holds up, make sure everyone's covered. And they did it was a beautiful display of great defensive play.
It was great.
Is what it was.
It was excellent.
So hats off to the 49ers. We'll see how far this goes and how far they go. It's exciting to see, and I agree with you. I thought it was going to be a competitive game. Mm-hmm. I'm in my office, well, up until this week, so it just lost out, but my office, or last week lost out, my office has an office pick'em type of league that we play in. And, every week there's certain games you do not touch. And that's a game that I would not touch because I'm not really sure what happens, which way it goes. But I never would have imagined that whichever way the needle fell, that it would have been a blowout and a complete devastation to the other team. So good for them.
Yeah, and so and I'm happy for my brother that
there you go. Shout out to your brother.
Shout out. Mm-hmm. That's his team. He does not waver. He's been his team forever. So congrats.
That's the way you gotta be. Yeah, that's the way you gotta be. If you're gonna be a fan, be a fan.
Yeah, he's a fan. He's a fan. Yeah. So one brother is a fan and one isn't.
We have no. All right, we're gonna leave him alone.
Okay. All right. So another game that was highly circled on the calendar for the year, people looking at, was the Cowboys and the Patriots. People had very high expectations for the Cowboys, or were really just, I guess, willing to see what was going to happen with the Cowboys. What is going to be the year where everything clicks and they bring it all together. You have there are no other excuses now on offense. You have more than enough options. You upgraded the slot when you brought in Randall Cobb. He still got it. He's a veteran and he's won a Super Bowl, so he knows how it feels to get there. So he's a winner.
Amari Cooper had an off season with them, right?
Amari Cooper came back. You got Zeke, who you paid as the highest running back in the league. So that means that you must think he's the best running back in the league. And then you had Dak, who was asking for that money, honey. And people were wondering what he was going to be doing for the year, if he was going to be worth the money. And I don't think it's worth the money if it's what the market is placing on the money and what he's done, but in the past. But that's neither here nor there. But so far he's been playing great ball at the quarterback position, and you can really see the improvement that he's made. I love his little, I agree. The Dak dance.
Yep.
So you can see he's serious about this thing, and I'm happy for him that about the improvement that he's shown just in his passing game. He's not so anxious to run the ball as much. He's sticking in the pocket. So he's had a really good season for them, especially ironically enough, I guess, because they just paid Zeke all this money, where the last couple of games he hasn't even gotten over I don't think 90 yards, and that's crazy just to say that, because of the way that his projections were going, how close he's going to be to breaking this and that mark and making it to the all-time list and all this stuff. So here it is. So,
but I think go ahead.
So here it is. You have the Cowboys. This is a big game for them, so they can prove to people that they're elite, to come out against the Patriots. And everybody know that's the creme de la creme. That's your barometer. It doesn't matter it's the standard. It doesn't matter what they're playing at that point. They can be an average team in a season, have an average season, but whenever you play them, you got to come with it. And especially this year, where their defense is elite, so you knew that it was going to be a challenge, because I think Dallas had the number one offense on third down conversions, and then the Patriots defense had the number one stoppage on third down. So they were going against strength, offense against defense. So that was going to be a big thing. What was going to happen? And once again, it just seems like they can't get over the hump. Is what do you think, Kim?
Well, there's a reason they can't get over the hump. And I
what
think
is
that a lot of us can agree. Well, it all comes down to coaching. And the issue that they are having, the problems, the issues that they are experiencing points to nothing but the coaching. When you have all of those pieces that you just pointed out and laid out, and the one thing that you didn't mention, but I know that you and I have talked about, is on the defensive side of the ball, they're not elite, but they're solid. They're a good defensive team.
They're above average.
Above average. There we go. They're an above average defensive team.
Yeah.
And even though the Cowboys sit atop the NFC East right now at 6-5, look at who else is in.
I mean, that's not saying much at all.
Yeah, it's not. And especially when your record in it is 6-5, and you're really only one game up on the Eagles, who have not been playing well. And other than that, you have the Giants and you have the Redskins. So you're not. Yes, that just got their second win that came in the waning minutes of a game against Detroit with a backup quarterback at home. I mean, it's not like they made a statement or anything with that win. They found a way to win. So in my opinion, it comes down to the coaching. You look at the play calls that are happening, and to your point that Zeke hasn't been as productive as what has been expected, but I will say that they haven't really been running the ball as much as they probably should have. Now, you want to take care of him and you want to make sure that you don't overload him, but he's fine. He can handle it. He can come out on some downs, and you have Tony Pollard who can back him up. But if you're gonna pay him. Yeah, exactly. But if you're going to pay him the kind of money that you paid him, then you're making the statement that he is the best in the league. So treat him like he's the best in the league. And when you go up, and we talked about this a bit before the show, when you go up against a run offense, because if you're going to talk about defense, if you're going to talk about holes in the Patriots' defensive game, it's going to be on the run. It's not going to be through the air. You do not want to pass the ball against them.
Especially when it's raining and windy.
And it's cold, yes, because like Gronk said last night.
He was fired up. Oh my goodness, that was the funniest thing.
It was, but like he said, Bill Belichick understands how the game is played, and he understands that when you play football on Sunday, it doesn't matter what the weather is, you are going to be on the field. If it's snowing, if it's windy, if it's blistering cold, if it's raining, and the conditions were miserable. Awful yesterday. It rained the entire time. I believe it was like 35 degrees or something. And it was extremely windy. So, that made the real feel below freezing. Right. And they're going to be practicing in that. So, and it was a home game for them. So they're going to be
that was nothing
more equipped. Exactly. And the Cowboys play in a dome. So
they practice. Didn't that?
Yeah. So
they should have had some simulations out there. Jerry got enough money. They could have some simulations for wherever weather.
Get some snow blowing.
Yeah, right. Like you can look at the forecast. I think that's a good investment.
Legit, and it just makes very little sense, and even to the point. And I know that either way, so there's a point in time where Dak decided he needed to put gloves on for the purpose of getting a better grip on the ball. And to me, it kind of spoke volumes. Now, of course, in general, the quarterback needs to be able to grip the ball, whether he's handing it off or he's passing. But it kind of spoke volumes that the game plan was them to have quite a bit of passing, and it was very important for him to be able to grip the ball because, as we said, the defensive efforts in the passing game for the Patriots is something to be concerned about. So, it kind of said to me that
is crazy. Well, the way they're playing.
Yeah, it said to me. Yeah, so it said to me that passing was something that was important, and they did not feed the beast.
That was so stupid. Oh my goodness!
And again, it goes back to coaching. It goes to play calling. It goes to being prepared. You had discussed some decisions that were made in the red zone, in particular when they had a fourth down opportunity. There's 6 minutes left in the game. It's a tight game. I mean, at this point, you're going for that sort of thing because
yeah.
The worst that can happen is you turn it over. The Patriots get the ball back in the red zone. And, oh, by the way, they had not been driving down the field. It was a close game for a reason.
Yeah.
If it was a situation where Tom Brady was doing the typical Tom Brady thing and driving down the field, the game would have been blown to pieces, and it would have looked the way that the 49ers Green Bay Packers game looked. And it didn't. It didn't. I mean, neither side really got going offensively. So if ever there were a time to try and exploit the Patriots and get that run game going and go for it on fourth down, when that was a very important game for statement purposes and others as well.
Confidence, morale.
Saving your job. if you're Garrett.
So we talked about like Jason Garrett's decision making, because even though he's not making the call, he's not the play caller on offense, he does have the final say so. So like in those instances, when it comes down to what they're going to do in the end zone, that's all him. Like he gives the go ahead on those things. Like when they're just marching up and down the field, that's a different thing. But in the end zone, the red zone, and when it's the game on the line, time management type of thing, that's all him. And then, so like we discussed, like pre-recording, we were talking about like the first play of the game when they decided to throw it instead of run it on the first play of the game. I already knew what type of game it was going to be for the Cowboys. I knew they were not prepared. I knew that they didn't understand the weaknesses of the Patriots. Like one thing that you have to do, you have to play up your strengths. So you can't have the same play called every game. You can't have the same game plan every game. Sometimes you have to pass more, sometimes you have to run more. And when you have Zeke Elliott and you have a defense who's susceptible to the run, you run the ball. You put some tricky stuff out there and get him some jet sweeps and making sure that you can put your tight ends out there, get some extra body so he can run the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that did not happen. They was like, oh, we're gonna show the Patriots that
exactly. That's what I was just gonna say.
They haven't
trying to make a statement.
They haven't seen an offense like this. We got Amari Cooper, we got Randall Cobb, we got Michael Gallup.
Yeah, let's make a statement in the 30-degree weather that we don't practice in or play in, and the rain,
and the wind,
the ball, and the wind, all these sorts of things that make passing in general. And I think that's why they did it, right? Oh, they want to expect us to pass the ball.
In the weather, yeah.
We're going to show them that we can pass the ball in any conditions, and we're really going to establish the passing game. No, you're not.
You're not. No one has against them this year, and that's what you have to recognize. And then I see if you didn't have a running back who you can trust, but you do. You have freaking Zeke. So once again, when they were in the red zone with the 4 minutes left on third down, when it was 3rd and 7, instead of passing it, they should have run it. It didn't matter how many yards they got. All they needed was a little bit more yards to make a pass on the 4th down or a run on the 4th down easier. You know, they should have, the goal all along should have been to go for it on 4.
Make it more comfortable.
They didn't get it on 3. They didn't do that. And then he passed it up on 4th down. That was ridiculous. And then, so you put yourself in a position where people say, the ref this, the ref that, and they just came out saying that the call they made, the tripping call, was not the right call to make. Well, we all knew that. It was ridiculous. But you should never put yourself in a position where it's where the refs can take the game away from you.
Exactly. And I've always, I completely agree, because in any sport, there are things that as you lead up to those big time moments, and I understand the argument that yes, refs can alter games and to an extent alter outcomes, but at the same time, you should be playing the way that makes it so that even if that call is made, I'm still okay, right? There's a bad call that's made, and I can survive that bad call,
right? Because
I've done all these other things before then. And I can think of tons of examples. I remember one college basketball tournament a couple years ago, and there's a bad call that was made on Duke. And one of my friends said that to me, like, aren't you upset about that call? And I was like, well, it's a bad call, but no, not really, because they never should have been in the position in the first place.
Right.
If you play the way, so that, you know, to translate this to what we're talking about now, if you play the way that you're capable of playing with the talent that you have, then a call can't change the game or shouldn't affect the outcome of the game. And to that point, I think that's why it goes back to the person that's leading the team. I'll use that term loosely here, in leading the team. Yeah. And my personal opinion is that this is his last year, and that he will be employed elsewhere next year.
Like his attention to detail, like to be a head coach and to put your team on that level, you have to be so, like, the attention to detail has to be like impeccable. You have to look at the little things to get your team ready. Like that's one of the things why the Patriots are good, even though their offense isn't like good right now. It's the little things that they do. Like they had Dallas had so many calls against them, some that put them back, like they would get a first down, and then here comes some kind of holding call. Flags all over the field, just, you know, bringing them back. And that, I mean, that stuff piles up. Like, and so, and then one thing too about the difference between that game was one touchdown. And there's a touchdown that was made because of a special team play. And like, you have to have all aspects of your team ready. So even though the Patriots missed 2 field goals in that game, that one special team play that did put them in range to get a touchdown was the difference. Yep. So I mean, and then the Cowboys missed a field goal too, which didn't help.
It didn't help. So yeah. Anyways, R.I.P. Jason Garrett. R.I.P.
Well, yeah. I mean, he made enough money. He'll be okay.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But you know, he had a lot of opportunities, and it's just getting to the point where at a certain juncture you have to stop giving people chances, because they've proven that they're not going to make any changes, even when you give them the pieces and the tools to make those improvements. So, R.I.P.
Yeah. All right. So, you want to talk about your favorite team for a bit?
Yeah. I heard our little warning, so I'll make it brief. And of course, anyone who's been following along knows that my favorite team, Cleveland Browns, which is actually not my favorite team, and that always frustrates me and just annoys me and gets me worked up. But of course, so last week we talked about the brawl, the fight that happened, and this week, over the course of last week, I believe 33 players in total, 32 to 33 were fined. Yeah. The largest fine being Mason Rudolph at $50,000, which we discussed might actually be significant based on what his salary is. We do not know what his salary is. We did not look it up, but fairly certain that he was not drafted, so he's probably not making much. I still personally think it's a bit of a cop-out when you have someone who instigated and initiated the entire thing.
He should have had suspension for at least one game.
At least one game, exactly. But it's interesting you say that, because it seems like he kind of did, but by his own coach.
Yeah.
So he was pulled from the game this past weekend, yesterday. He was benched. And it's interesting because, at least that I've seen, Mason Rudolph hasn't gone out to perform, to wow and be the second coming of Ben Roethlisberger, as in, we found our next man up when he retires. I mean, that's not the type of performance he's been doing.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that this was the game after all of these things happened, and the allegation that was made by Myles Garrett that a racial slur was used, and that's what initiated all of the anger and his 0 to 1,000 and how he behaved. So you have that floating around. Now, there was no facts or evidence to support that other than Myles Garrett saying it happened.
He say.
So, yeah, and that's what you're going off of. Now, I will say Odell, I believe, said, or it may have been a different player, it may not have been Odell, but one of the other players on the Browns basically said he's one of those people, based on his character and how they know him to be, that if he says something like that it happened, because he generally is an honest person.
Yeah, he wants to be a paleontologist. You remember when he – that's why all this this whole thing was so crazy, because, like, he's not that type of person. Like elites. I just remember it was a bit to do when he – like his draft class, and they just made a big thing about he wanted to be a paleontologist. Like his interests are very low key. Like he's not trying to be a rapper.
Exactly. So – No, and or any other kind of athlete, right? What would you be if not a football player? I'll be a basketball player. You know, it wasn't that sort of thing for him. It was something completely, and like you said, low key, but just kind of left field, because not many people say that. Maybe as a kid, but there are very few people that once they become of age to make decisions about what they're going to be when they grow up, still say a paleontologist. So good for him for having that interest. But in any event, after all this stuff comes out last week, then Mason Rudolph has a subpar game, but pretty consistent with the way he's been playing, I would say. Yeah. So he hasn't been playing in an elite way, and the way that they've been winning has very much been because of Micah Fitzpatrick on the defensive side of the ball. It's all been defense, So it's not anything that the offense really has been doing. They do enough when they need to, but defense has been controlling that. Yeah. So it's interesting that Mike Tomlin benched him. And part of me wonders, I have nothing to back this up, of course, but part of me wonders that given all of the turmoil that has happened and unfolded over the last week, if part of that had to do with an in-house penalty, if you will, of Mason Rudolph and his action. Now, of course, Mason Rudolph came out and said and denied the allegations, said that he never used a racial slur and he wouldn't do that. But now what does that do with the guys in the locker room, right? So now they have that floating around. Right. And as we talked about, the majority of NFL players are African-American. Yep. So those are the people, those are your linemen. That's who is protecting you from getting rung up every single play. So what does that do with that allegation floating around? So anyway, it's neither here nor there, but part of me wonders if, in fact, that was a punishment that Mike Tomlin decided to institute on his own. And we have a rematch coming up.
Yes, right. So, yeah. And I think part of that, too, about that type of maybe I don't think he meant to punish him on purpose. I think it's just something that just happened because you don't put up with a lot of things from people once, like, okay, he wasn't playing like he wasn't being Roethlisberger previous games or this game. So it was nothing out of the ordinary. But sometimes once, you can put up with a lot more from how somebody plays if you don't have to worry about other stuff. But then once you bring in other stuff and you try to feel some type of way about somebody, inconsistencies become that much greater. So it just made it easier for him to pull in old Hodge. Well, I don't even know who that is, and he scored a
exactly.
touchdown.
Who is that?
Yeah, he threw for a touchdown. So
good for him.
And good for and to your point, the one thing great job with this team, like they have nobody. So Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, and you're right. They're doing a good job. And I didn't even mention, I was talking about, this floating around and what your lineman might do. But, of course, you mentioned the thing about the coach, and Mike Tomlin is an African-American man. Mm-hmm. So he's leading that team. So you wonder what that means, too, about the coaching staff and everyone else that's in the Steelers nation from that internal side, right? Yeah. So not their fan base necessarily, but talking about the people on the day-to-day that get them where they need to be. You start saying stuff like that, and like you said, you start looking at it a little differently, true or not.
Talking about fan bases, that pinata from the Browns, that
savage.
On one level,
savage.
I'm like, oh, that's funny. on one side, but then on the other side, I'm like, that's a picture of that guy's face on that pinata, and they're trying to destroy it with that helmet. So I feel like,
yeah,
it's like fans are going to be fans, but then there was this picture on it, and they were like dangling. It's like it was a disturbing image, but then it was a funny image, and it was so I was kind of like,
yeah. Trying to figure out how to feel about it. Yeah. Well, I think it's two things for me. You know, it's savage, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it also kind of goes to what I've consistently said about the Browns, and it appears that it extends to the fan base of just like very little class. I mean, like on the one hand, like you said, it is kind of like makes you crack a little bit of a smile, and it's pretty savage and creative, if you will. But at the same time, there's a line that you can cross by being a fan and how that transcends into something bigger. And so have they crossed that? Is it a classless move?
And I will say, look, if it was, and I think too, and I will say this, I'll just put this out there. If it was a black player's face on that piano, I would know exactly how I would feel about it. So
exactly.
So that's why I'm like, so that's why I'm trying to be consistent with that. And it just can't be.
Yeah, and sometimes we have to check ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe
we have to check ourselves.
I think what put it over was that his face was on there, and I just feel sometimes
up there.
Like that. Yeah. All right. So
absolutely. And I appreciate that comment, because now you saying that completely flips me that it's just classless. So I appreciate that. Savage. Yay, Browns.
All right, so in other NFL news, there's still no other news from Cap. So I feel like this is going to be status quo. I don't think anything's going to happen.
Yep. I don't either, given everything that took place. So I agree. No contact made by any of the owners or management to him, and that's that. So we'll of course keep monitoring any updates that might come, but I imagine that there will be very little to nothing to monitor.
Yeah.
So
yeah. On the other hand, he did just release like his new sneaker. So there's that. All right.
Yeah. He's fine.
Go Nike. All right. So moving on to college football. So nothing like too major happened this past weekend except for Oregon losing. So they're out. There's nowhere they're making it. Pac-12 is not going to be represented once again in the college football playoffs.
Once again, right?
It is. So
yeah, they were already on the fringe. So.
Yeah, on the fringe. So
yeah, they were on the fringe. So at this point, like you said, Pac-12 is not good enough to have significant wins, but you can definitely have significant losses. And this is it. It kicks them out, especially if you have enough of mixing around and upsets in the other conferences, which it seems like not every week, but every time we make a comment about or see the rankings released about one team, that very next week they end up losing, and it's like and they end up falling down. And I think Oregon kind of was that this week. I mean, they've gotten themselves up to the sixth spot, and then you go and lose to Arizona State. So it's like, okay, well, you didn't want it either. So okay, bye. And you're right. They're done. They're done.
Yeah. Oh well, it was good while it lasted. Oregon, you had hopes. You had high.
I guess so. I always like their jerseys.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're right in the shadow of Nike, so they just
they got bomb jerseys. That's about it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And so good. So Oregon, you might not make it to the college football playoffs, but you'll look good in your bowl game. All right. So coming up
look
is
good with your
rivalry
60
week.
Different jerseys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got so many jerseys. It's crazy.
So many different type of like reflectors and fabrics. shimmering.
And they use the colors so differently, and it's just like, how many different ways?
How many greens are there? Like neon greens?
How many greens are there?
Forest green.
A lot, apparently. And you can have the pants, or you can have greened out. You can do the outlining around the names and the numbers. I mean, you can trim all sorts of places. The helmet, the duck wings on the helmet. They got the green. They got it figured out.
Yeah, they have sometimes they have a matte helmet. Sometimes they have a reflection helmet, like
an aluminum type.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
Anyway, at least they look good losing.
Yeah, right. I mean, they should have their support team. They should have a lot of what you call them? Athletics, people who wash the pants. I should know that since I worked with college football, but we never got on.
Trainers? They're not the trainers.
I was a trainer.
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, the people who wash the pants. Yeah, we never liked them, so who cares?
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's crazy.
Trainers, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so next week is rivalry week. So we have two of our all-time rivalries in the college football, which probably the rivalry, they would say, from the Ohio State, Ohio and Michigan.
The Ohio State University, which is a rivalry but shouldn't play out to be much of one.
Yeah.
And Ohio State should roll easily.
Right. I kind of want Michigan to do it, to, at least beat them once in a while. I mean, and every time they should beat them, they never do. So maybe when they're not supposed to, they will.
They will. Well, but that's important though, right? I mean, that's the important part of a rivalry. It's not a good rivalry, or in my opinion, much of a rivalry at all, if it's completely one-sided. That's just a beat down consistently. If the games aren't ever split, if they don't end up being close and engaging and fun, and again, to make the comparison for the ultimate rivalry, right? The Duke UNC thing, as much as you hate UNC and UNC hates Duke, the reason it's such a good rivalry is because we split games. Yeah. And sometimes they win, sometimes we win, even when the teams aren't really that quality and shouldn't. It's always a competitive game no matter what. So that's what makes it difficult. You want to continue for this to be a rivalry. So to your point, it would be nice if Michigan showed up, made the game interesting at least, even if they didn't win, kept it close, and it was an interesting game.
I hope so for their part and for Harbaugh's part, because there's been a lot of chatter out there about his job stability. What's going to happen there with him? I mean, it was such a big deal when he came. They welcomed him back. They welcomed the khakis back. It was, hometown hero, alumna. So it's been kind of a letdown, sadly. And then, Michigan is such one of those programs I think college football needs to be good, just because of its historic value. Like, you can only show Desmond winning, making that winning touchdown so many times. Desmond Howard.
So many times.
That was how many years ago? We need some updated footage of Michigan winning this game. So just for the sake of college football, and just for the sake of that I just like football and that I don't really like Ohio State, I would like Michigan to win.
Well, look, I don't think that's a bad reason. I mean, I think those are all good reasons, and I think, again, to the point that I just said, I think it would be fun to see a close game. Now, I will say I do like Ohio State's quarterback, Justin Fields.
Yes, Justin Fields. Yes, I'm all for him.
I'm a big fan of his, and there's a Netflix TV show, QB1, Beyond the Lights, and Justin Fields, and it's essentially the premise is that Netflix follows around high school seniors who are supposed to be elite in the recruiting class, and so it follows them around. You see their senior season of play, but you also see kind of other aspects of their personalities and what goes into the training and things like that. And then you ultimately see where they decide to go. And so he's one of and Jake Fromm from Georgia, QB from Georgia. He was on it
and they both used to be QBs from Georgia not too long ago.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So I remember watching that show, and of the 4 quarterbacks, the season where Justin Fields was on it, I mean, very clearly looking at him and saying, yeah, he's going to be a stud. He's going to go to the next level and play well. And some of the others is like, why are they following them type of deal. So I like what he's doing. I'm a huge fan of his, but I'm okay with however it
And I guess I should clarify that the reason why I don't have like particularly good feelings for Iowa State was because of Urban Meyer. He's not there anymore, so I guess it has to take a little while for, I just didn't like Urban. I think he's a snake in the grass. I think he's a liar. So there's that. Okay, so
okay.
Alabama Auburn. So
big game.
Yes, Iron Bowl. So that's always interesting around this time around here because even though they say the state is divided, it's not. It's like 3/4 Alabama, 1/4 Auburn.
Roll Tide.
But so Alabama has to go out there, destroy Auburn, like no doubts whatsoever if they want a shot of making it into the playoffs. They have to kill them. No mercy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
they're just not in it. They have found themselves in a position that I can't remember in the last, gosh, I don't want to put a time frame on it, but just in my recent memory of them being in this position, right? And you hear people saying, when people, I mean, like talking heads, sports analysts saying, is this a changing of the guards type situation? Is something shifting from the dominance that Alabama has exerted for the last however many years? And who knows, and you know, what's coming down the pipeline. But I will say it's just interesting that they find themselves in this position where it's not a done deal, which so often it has been. So much to your point, not only do they have to win, they have to do it by a significant margin.
They have to
dominate and let there be
especially from
if they don't.
Especially from the QB position. Now, that's going to be under microscope. So, Jones, his last name is Jones, I think. He has to come out and play surefire. Like, he has to be the second coming of Peyton Manning when he was at Tennessee. So, that's, he has to, and
it's important because if they don't play well, they may find themselves on the outside looking in. And which is, I imagine, at least for the –
which might happen. It happens. I mean, it happens.
And it might. And you know what? And sometimes those sorts of things, as badly as I would disagree vehemently if you talked about it being my team, and by my team, I mean my basketball team.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes just for the nature of the sport, it's okay and it's good for the sport to not have complete and utter dominance by one program all the time. It really can cause the environment to just and stale. And that's how I felt about UConn women's basketball team. Like, what's the point when you already have to fight so hard to get people engaged in women's basketball? What's the point of watching if you know that every single year UConn is going to win?
Right.
So unless you're a UConn fan, this is not enjoyable. Not only win, I mean, completely obliterate their opponents.
Yeah.
And finally, we've gotten away from that.
Yeah.
And
the last couple of years have been great.
It has. And I've
been tuning in to watch the game.
Very good for the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you actually want to see who's going to win and what are the ultimate outcomes going to be and how deep are these teams going to go. So I think it can be bad for sports when there's too much dominance by one team. So even if, like you said, they might be on the outside looking in, and even if they are, don't say this to a true Alabama fan, but even if they are, it's okay, and it actually is.
It happens.
Positive.
I mean, no one wins all the time. That's what they
don't.
They don't know. They don't know. They don't know how to handle this. They really don't. It's quite funny. They make so many excuses.
But the highs and lows,
right?
And that's
and it's like, but y'all forget this and that and that and this. But anyway, so looking forward to the weekend after next, we already know the SEC championship game is already set. We already know who's playing that. LSU, Georgia. Their tickets are checked. They're going to be in Atlanta playing for the SEC championship game. So that game, like if Georgia loses, they are not getting in. They are out. Now, that's how Alabama can get in if Georgia loses. So Georgia has to lose definitely for Alabama to get in.
Yep.
And then, but then also right behind, it's going to be like a toss-up between Bama and Oklahoma at that point because Oregon is out the picture. So how Oklahoma is going to play coming up, and they play. So that's going to – but I think Bama has the edge just because, once again, the committee does have a clear preference for Alabama.
It's Bama.
So, but if LSU loses, that's going to be tricky. So you might have 2 one-loss SEC teams in the college football playoff. So
which will be interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how all this stuff is going to shake out because very much like you're saying, if Georgia loses, then that opens up a space for Bama. But of course, that's contingent upon Bama taking care of business this weekend and doing it handily. So there are a lot of what ifs still, and I'll say very much of the way that I feel about the college basketball season, as far as there not being one clear team that's just dominating and is a clear favorite. I feel like the college football playoffs are going to be somewhat like that. There's so many things that are dependent upon the other that it'll be interesting to see who ends up with these positions in the playoffs, but ultimately winning at the end of the college football season. So it's an exciting time for college football because there is the open avenue for a number of teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So that'll be
yay.
All right. So college b-ball. Let's move it on to college basketball. And what happened today? What you see today, Kim?
What I saw today, and I like that you're laughing at me because you've already talked about this. What I saw today is that number 3 Michigan State lost to an unranked Virginia Tech in the first round of the Maui Invitational. It was an interesting forecast that you made during our very first episode, and you put a standard in place, and I'm holding it up here, but only so the viewers can see it because really it's down towards the floor. It was a low bar that you set for Michigan State, which is that early on in the season, they do not exceed. Kind of in that early on in the season, they do not exceed expectations, and they tend to choke, if you will, and not handle early season pressure very well. And that is coming into fruition thus far. They were the preseason number 1 team in the country, and they've already, within the first month, month and a half, about first month, maybe about 5 weeks, lost 2 games.
Yeah.
One of those being to Kentucky, which is a young team but played very well and has talent, albeit, despite that loss they had to Evansville last week. And the other to an unranked Virginia Tech team, which I will note, I was looking at the roster and trying to see or look at the distribution of the scoring and did not recognize many of the players on Virginia Tech's team. As someone who is a member of the ACC, typically, even if I'm not super familiar with all of the players, the names are usually familiar.
Yeah.
And Virginia Tech this season, as far as talking about pieces that came back from last year, doesn't have that really much of a standout player that we recognize from previous seasons. The one that would have been recognizable, Kerry Blackshear, who I talked about running on his tippy toes like Fred Flintstone, is now with Florida. So he transferred when Buzz Williams took the job at A&M, so he's no longer there. So it's just an interesting thing. And the leading scorer for them earlier today was a freshman guard. So I'll be paying attention to him to see if this was a one-off type of thing, rising to the hype, or if he's going to consistently be that type of player. So Michigan State, with all of their veteran leadership, did not play well. The veterans did not play well, and they are sitting on their second loss. But as we discussed, Duke plays them next week in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. It is at Michigan State, and of course, they'll play out of their minds,
right?
Which is what we want. I mean, we want early.
You want me
early
tested? Yes.
Yeah. We don't want to
now early. Yeah, learn
exactly. Yeah, and you'd rather lose now instead of in March. So I'm fine with them, and much to the point you made earlier about the Patriots, that's kind of the Duke standard too, right? Regardless of the quality of the team, you get everyone's best shot, and you're seen as an elite program. So a win against Duke means something, even if they aren't the best Duke team. So
even if it's 2006,
I'll be. Even if it's dark times, dark times. Oh, you talk about the ebbs and flows and highs and lows. Yes, that was a rough.
That was pre one and done era.
It was, and it was tough.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it. It was a tough time. We ended on a high note. We started very low.
Yes.
And it would have been natty. So that's okay.
That was growth. We were with them from beginning to end. That's how you know it's love.
Because there's a lot of feelings that could have been confused with hatred, but just anger, I guess is what it was.
Frustration.
Frustration. I know. That's what I say could have been confused with. Obviously, I would never hate on them.
Yeah.
But just frustration, just upset, and we grew together, and we matured together, and it worked out.
And they rewarded us, so it was.
Yep.
It was great.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how Michigan State rebounds because the tournament is over. I have not looked at their schedule, but my assumption would be that they will not be. Well, that's my assumption is that they're not going to play again until they play us next week because they're now out of the tournament. I could be wrong. They could have a game over the weekend.
No,
they were in
those tournaments. You always play like.
I mean they'll have some other teams that they play,
but they're not going to play the championship.
At least one.
So they'll play whoever loses the next game.
Loser of the
Kansas game. Whoever Kansas is playing, they're gonna play. They're gonna play that team.
Yep, and that's a good point because obviously you're not going to have your squad go all the way out to Hawaii and play one game. Like, okay, let's go home. So I'm not sure what I was thinking. So yes, they have more games, but I do not think they'll have any games after this tournament before play next week. So it'll be interesting to see how they rebound within the tournament, and then how that feeds into a big matchup next week, because for us, I would say it's an important game kind of in our minds because obviously Michigan State is the team that knocked us out of the tournament last year. So
it's going to be important for Trey.
It'll be interesting to
I feel
like absolutely, because he's one of the few, he's the only the only player that's returning that played a lot and was very crucial piece of last year's team. I'll put it that way. Not that Javin and Jack were not crucial pieces.
Well, Jack would have been,
but you know what I mean.
Jack was crucial because we missed his consistent 3-point shooting throughout the year. Like that's I think set us apart. That was like pre-slump and post-slump. You could tell the difference of the play. That's when we had to really rely a whole lot more
absolutely
on RJ and Zion when once I think they didn't have like at least one player who was going to be out there and going to hit a shot. I mean, Cam hit in the big moments.
That Cam, yeah.
But Jack was like he was at the beginning of the season, he was our money 3 player. He was our 3 and D player.
He was.
So still praying for Jack's shot.
His confidence took a big hit. And I think hopefully it's slowly coming back. He's made knocked down some shots. So hopefully slowly but surely we're getting there. And he just needs to shoot the ball when he's open and shoot it with confidence. And whatever happens next play. But you can't make them if you don't shoot them, right? You miss every shot you don't attempt. That whole saying, quote, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. But good. So that's the kind of the biggest thing I saw. Yeah. We'll see what happens with Michigan State.
A lot of tournaments going on right now, basketball tournaments. So it's that time of the year, the Thanksgiving season. That's when they play all these tournaments. So I think Baylor won one. Did they?
Feast Week, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, Feast Week. So I think Baylor won one. I forgot who they beat.
Who they beat?
But it doesn't matter. They won.
No, I don't remember.
I'm just trying to think of things that we need to watch. You know, and especially, and then we'll get to see a lot more consistent play when we get to conference play. So, but right now it's kind of
absolutely. And I will say, I think even something that kind of sticks out of my mind, even for the teams that don't necessarily win one, I thought that Georgetown had a good showing at the tournament that we played in with them. I mean, they're not a team that anybody had really been talking much about, at least not that I had heard.
Right.
They knocked off a number 22 or 24 ranked Texas team, and then they played us very, very tough and close, and were playing harder than we were for a bulk of the game until bulk of the first half until finally got it going towards the end of the second half to close the gap and go into halftime with a knotted up at 33 points, I think, something like that. So they're a physical team. They have some length.
Athletic.
So they athletic. Exactly. So I was impressed with what I saw from them, and it just really goes to show you that rankings don't ever really mean much of anything, and you can never overlook anyone. And even early on in the season, everything for these teams that are unranked are statement wins for their resume trying to get into the NCAA tournament. So it's important
matters.
For them for that reason. Everything matters. Absolutely. I'll co-sign on that.
Yeah.
Everything matters.
Every game matters. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
It does. Did our timer go off?
It did not.
Oh.
I know, right? Nice. Progress.
Progress. Well, considering we probably talked for an extra 5 minutes after the NFL timer went off, it'll all pound.
It'll wash. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, it's a wash. I like it.
All right. So NBA. So we are officially on Zion watch.
We are.
Yeah, and I'm officially on Zion watch, so I can know when I need to get these tickets.
Right, and I'm officially on it just because I want to watch it on TV because New Orleans is far.
Right,
but
they had so many injuries though already.
Yeah, they have. I feel like there was a game either last week or the week before. Lonzo wasn't playing. B.I. wasn't playing. J.J. wasn't playing. Jaleel wasn't playing. And at that point, I almost felt like I was dealing with the Golden State Warriors when I'm like, who's out there?
Yeah. I think they had like 9-8 players on rotation that game.
Yep, something like that, because they had all these injuries, and of course Zion not playing. But officially on Zion watch, because we have for the first time this week, or I guess it's Monday, so last week for the first time started to get an inkling and some press communication release from some of the management about his status, and also there was an interview that he did about his status, and so as can be expected, they are being extremely cautious with him. But the positive that I took away from it is that they did say he was on schedule. So whatever the schedule is that they think, initially they said 6 to 8 weeks, but again, they're going to be super conservative. So if it ends up being a little longer than that, to me, that's not him being behind schedule with his rehab. It just means they want to be sure, because we don't want a situation where the potential and the talent, the hype, excitement, all those sorts of things, the money take it to a situation where you're more concerned about that than you are the person and the player. I hope that he has a very long and successful NBA career, and I want to be able to watch that long and successful NBA career. So if it means taking some time and he doesn't come back until January or February, and I'm okay with that. This is his first year in the league. He's 19 years old. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's I'm sure he's excited and eager to play, but at the same time, I think he realizes the severity of kind of the situation to make sure he's good to go back.
And a lot of people were like, some people are like, also like have been throwing around load management for Zion, like just after he comes back. And people are like balking at that. They're like, oh, he's 19. Or even just going back to like the minutes that the Knicks were playing RJ. Like he was playing like the second most minutes in the league. And people are like, oh, he's 19. He can handle it. And then, but I just recall like this featured article that was in ESPN talking about how much mileage these guys put on their legs and on their joints before they even get to college because of the AAU circuit, because of all these exhibition games they're playing before they even get to college. Like they have no breaks, no downtimes. Like they're specializing in sports at a younger age. And then you're not giving your bones room to grow, to rest, to stretch. And like they have like, some people have some tight range of motion in their hips and in their knees. It's like ridiculous. And so that's why like we've seen so many more like ACL injuries and things like that in the younger group, because of all this extra work they're putting on their bodies early. Like they're aging their body so much quicker. So I'm like, I want to make sure that everything is all straight with Zion before he comes back. And so I agree with them being extra cautious. It's not like they were going to win a championship this year. So it's nothing like the only thing they need to make sure he gets some. I mean, this is really like a rep year for him, like running some reps. It would have been great if he could have won Rookie of the Year. But I mean, and really great to see him in the dunk contest. But right now, I don't want to see him in the dunk contest. I think I'd rather be cautious of his limbs. And I don't want to see Dwight Howard in the dunk contest either, sir. Just because he's talking about he's gonna come back to the.
Is that a rumor?
Yeah,
No,
he put it out there. He put it out there. He said it from his mouth in front of the press. And like, no,
you're done.
No,
you're done.
I want you to be ready for
Superman.
I want you to be ready for the playoffs. I don't want you to go out there at the dunk contest and break your leg.
Right? Isn't he like 50 at this point, sir? Stop it. No,
he's feeling himself. Right. I'm glad
he is. Well, the other thing too is,
but I don't want you to,
And the other thing too is Dwight Howard is so big, and not to say that when he was in the dunk contest it wasn't exciting, but I mean, because Zion is big too. But Zion, it's because of how bulky and he's super agile, and he dunks so hard. I think it's just explosive, I guess, is the terminology. So he's light on his feet, he's athletic, he's high off the ground, and then he's explosive. And so it's fun to watch. But I think part of the fun in the dunk contest is seeing the new talent. You don't have a ton of repeats. You do have some repeats, but there's some people that you just let them be, especially when it's been, I don't even know how many years since the last time he was in one. So just save yourself up. Take your actual all-star break. Take a break. Rest. Yeah, take a break. Yeah. And we're okay without you in the dunk contest. Surely they can find 5 other people.
Surely. Or 3. Or
you don't even need 5. You're right. That is the truth. 4.
I'd rather have quality over quantity, because nothing's worse than watching the dunk contest and they can't make a dunk in the allotted time. And then some people
and it's gotten so gimmicky now too.
Yeah. I mean, even though Aaron Gordon, like his gimmicks were with
the hoverboard and all that kind of stuff.
That was like I think that was the last.
His were well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, his were well thought out.
And gimmicks. Everything had to work at the right time. And
just perfectly.
Perfect.
In order to do it. Yeah, some of them are just too, But anyway, so Zion Watch, we'll be keeping an eye out for
our brother.
Our brother. Honorary member of honorary sister. For my brother. Yep. Honorary sister of the brotherhood. again, they are still unaware. That's fine.
They haven't had the blood test yet.
No, not yet. I should have told JJ when I saw him, but he probably, I didn't think that was the right time. He was getting ready to head out. The fact that he looked for me and came back, I just wanted to relish in that moment. And that was enough. And then I didn't want him to think I was crazy. So I just needed to, it was too soon. It's a first interaction. I can't have him thinking I'm crazy yet. So it was fine. It was fine. Yes, but.
So,
baby steps. Man.
Baby steps. And speaking of baby steps,
yeah.
So, woo! Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm excited.
We have a certain NBA player who made his first three-pointer of his career. Woo! And the season's over. It's over.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to do.
Nope.
They've won.
They have arrived. And you know what? You would have thought it had you heard the soundbite from the one and only Ben Simmons making his first career three-pointer. I think after like 192 NBA games is what I read. And I heard the soundbite on the radio, and the announcer is going crazy. The crowd is cheering so loudly to the point that I had to double check and make sure that it was just November, because I thought maybe it was June and they had just won the world championship in basketball and the season was over, to your statement. I mean, it was insane. And the announcer even said something to the effect of all these naysayers, if you will, or not necessarily naysayers, because everyone acknowledges the talent of Ben Simmons, but all of the different sports analysts and NBA analysts that have said he will raise his level of play and become that elite player if he develops a three-point shot. And apparently the word developing a three-point shot, or the phrase, means you just have to make one. In that announcer's mind, he said, and he's done it. So one three-point shot means, one three-point field goal means that after 192 games, you've developed a three-point shot by making one. So Ben Simmons, I would like to extend my personal congratulations for separating yourself from the rest of the crowd, raising your standard and your level of play. Kudos to you. Congratulations. You have arrived.
And you know who has made one NBA three-point shot?
Is this trivia?
Mama Curry. So there you go.
I would have never guessed that, so I'm glad you just went ahead and told me, because I was legit thinking about
somebody who's actually. So I mean, yeah. What they're gonna say is that everybody gets lucky sometimes.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Do you remember Chris used to say that?
Chris Townsend. Chris Townsend.
Yeah. Yes, Townsend. Yeah, Townsend. He used to say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. I don't know why it was so funny to me. It still is. So that was Ben Simmons.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris finding the nut. So in any event, I heard the timer. I'm going to leave Ben Simmons alone because he is actually a really good player. And of
course.
Yeah, and I'm not hating on him, but I just want people to, let's control the hype and let's actually let him develop a three-point shot. But again, he has to continue taking them, continue working on it, and we'll see if he gets there. I hope he does. It'd be great to see him have that aspect to his game.
Right. If science only depended on one outcome, one test run, we'd be in some deep doo-doo.
We'd be good.
If all it takes is
one experiment, and it works the way that you want it to.
Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, one experiment. There we go. One experiment. I figured it out.
Right.
I cured everything.
Everything.
That's all it takes. Just one.
And then
just one.
Oh. You know what? I didn't.
What?
Yeah. Turns out on the 100 millionth test run.
Yeah, right. I still am struggling and working at it. So
yeah.
In any event.
Work in progress.
So go ahead.
Oh, I just one quick word about another young grasshopper in the league.
Let's do it.
Yeah, since we haven't talked about him this season, and he's been, doing the thing out there, to give him some props. I
Oh,
mean,
definitely.
he's definitely. I mean, he's just a good basketball player. That's just
That's all you can
he's
say
so
about it.
well rounded. It's ridiculous.
He is.
I know a lot of people compare him to LeBron, but LeBron doesn't have his natural shooting ability, and especially
Yeah.
coming in like this. So he can only get better. So I mean, good for the Mavs for drafting him, and then the Kings
Absolutely.
and boo boo for the Kings for passing on him because apparently,
Boo-hoo.
yeah. So just want to get a shot
Yeah,
for
and he's just
this season.
Yeah, and he's so much fun to watch. And I mean, I don't think they're going to be in any real conversation about making any kind of run anywhere.
No,
But
that he's
I'll
scared
give them,
team.
yeah, absolutely, and I'll
Round.
give them like an honorable mention type of deal
Yeah.
because it's beautiful to see him play and to see the way that he and Porzingis play together and off of one another. And but yes, give credit to Luka. It's exciting to watch him play.
Yeah,
And
he about to get paid with this. Apparently, there's a shoe bidding war going on for him, so he's about to get paid.
Ooh, good for him.
Yeah. He's been wearing like a different shoe brand every game, so
Nice.
you know what that means. Yeah.
Yep, they're working on him.
Yep.
So,
yes,
is it time
it's
for
time.
the announcement?
Yes, and
Okay.
all you, Kim.
Clearly, I'm very excited about it.
Yes,
I am very excited about it. So, what Nivette and I have decided to do, and the anticipation is really going to build because it's not going to be for a while. But what we have decided to do is that because the two of us do a lot of in-game commentary back and forth when we're watching Duke games, we've decided that during the Duke-Carolina game, the first one being on a Wednesday should be in February, typically is the first Wednesday of the month at 9 p.m. And we figure we're going to be watching. Everyone else is going to be watching. So we are ready to start doing some live in-game commentary. And let me tell you, if you could see the messages that we exchange back and forth, it definitely is something that you want to tune into because it is quite comical.
Yeah.
So we are super excited about it. It's just an idea that we had as we were watching them play Georgetown. And we had talked and we were texting back and forth when they were playing Cal as well. But especially during the Georgetown game, we got some good fodder, if you will. So I hope that this gets you all excited. We're very excited about it.
Yes.
The Duke-Carolina game is always something that's really exciting and fun and important for us. Hopefully we come out on the upside of it. But the thing to say for all of those people out there who are not Duke fans, we definitely keep it 100 when it comes to things that they are not doing well. So don't think this is going to be something where if you're either not a Duke fan or you bleed the other kind of blue, which generally is unacceptable, that while you may get a few comments like that, we will definitely call it as it is and call it like we see it. And if our boys are doing something wrong, we are going to let you know for sure.
Yeah.
So I am super pumped about this.
Yeah.
We'll get to watch the game together as a group. Yeah, it'll be like a big old watch party. So it's going to be really good.
We can do it on Facebook.
We'll keep promoting that as we get closer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll do a Facebook Live sort of thing, and we'll keep promoting it as it gets closer. But get excited for Carolina live commentary.
Yeah. It's gonna be
well, yeah, me too, and that's the thing, and you'll get the truest version of us, right? Because it's going to be real time reactions, and the frustration or the joy, whatever it is, it's all going to be right here. I am super intense when it comes to watching basketball games, and I imagine that'll be
Duke basketball games at that, and then Duke basketball players.
Yeah,
see, I mean, this is
yeah.
So
all I can hope and pray for right now is that it's not a situation where we end up being down big, because then I'm just going to be like this and it'll just be quiet. I'm just like, so we just hope it doesn't end up being one of those situations, because that's what you'll be looking at for 2 hours.
Right. Yeah, and then yes.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be great. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Yep. And Tommy's going to watch too, so don't worry.
Course.
I'll take him over there. Yep, he's a bigger fan than we are. So, hey, buddy. So, anyway, get excited. It'll be fun. You laughing at me and Tommy. That's the homie. I take him down after the podcast. I just feel like I wouldn't want to hang up there all day. You know what I mean? So after we finish our recording, I always take him down, give him some rest.
Oh, that's nice of you to do that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all.
I'm thoughtful.
Yeah.
All right, it's been a good one.
It's been
Thanks for watching.
Real. Yeah.
So real and so fun.
Yes. And remember, Black girls love sports.
Black girls love sports too.
And join us at our watch party.
There we go. Later.